pattern, and Cousins throws. It's caught for the touchdown by Jefferson. Team gritty on Thanksgiving, why not? It's a fake, and Cousins flips it to Hawkinson. Touchdown, Minnesota. Cousins looking. Jefferson was covered. Other side, Thielen. Touchdown, Minnesota. Back on top.
Vikings Game Day Live is presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
Right side, 3. 1, 2, 3. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown.
You're watching Vikings Game Day Live.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Vikings Game Day Live. We are flipped now to December football. The Minnesota Vikings with a gaudy 9-2 record, hosting the New York Jets with playoff aspirations of their own here at US Bank Stadium at noon. Mark Rosen along with Don Mitchell, Ron Johnson, Pete Persich, Ben Lieber, and a cast of thousands here. We're being serenaded very loudly right now. It's been that kind of a morning. But hey, listen, enthusiasm is ramping up here outside of US Bank Stadium where the tailgating is going on as well. I want to get some initial thoughts. First of all, the Vikings don't play the Jets very often. I can't get a handle on this game, Don. What to kind of expect. We know that they have a new quarterback. We know the matchup is pretty interesting. The Jets have a really good defense, but it's not like we're playing an opponent we're familiar with.
Absolutely, and I'm going to signal like when Ron says something about Detroit. I am from New England, so we hate the Jets, right? I mean, you just grow up saying, "Oh, I don't care. I don't care if they have like a Super Bowl winning quarterback at the helm." So that childhood is kind of hard to let go of. Mm-hmm. But I say, you know what? Yes. Mike White is doing great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just not today, Satan, right?
Yeah, there's not today. Ron, same type of thing. I mean, we could break this game down, and we will, 100 different ways. But what does it mean when you play an unfamiliar opponent from a standpoint of preparing for it?
I mean, the thing about football is coaches and players are creatures of habit. What they do on film, no matter if you've played them once or twice or 10 times, whatever they played last week, the week before that, you look at Tyler Conklin, you look at Corey Davis, you look at Sauce Gardner, those things on tape are always going to be who they are. If Mike White pumps like this, he's going to pump like that today. So all that little stuff that can help guys understand when this is coming or when this is played, like 3rd and 7 to 11, it's a boom or bust play for the Jets. They don't try to run screens and do tricks. They're going to try to go for it. So all that kind of stuff, Harrison Smith, those DBs, Caleb Evans hopefully back today, they have to be on high alert because what you see on tape is what it is. It doesn't matter if you've played them once or never, right. But if you have other things on tape, there's not a lot a coach like Robert Saleh is going to do offensively that's going to trigger. Now, defensively, he might try to do some things because of Kirk Cousins, but other than that, it's what they are. They are who they say they are.
And Pete Persich, let's not bury the lead. The Vikings can actually clinch the NFC North today with a victory over the Jets. And I can't even believe I'm saying this, if the Lions lose to Jacksonville, not the Packers, if the Lions lose to Jacksonville, the Vikings win the division. Of course, they play Detroit next week, and if the event that doesn't work out today.
Well, hopefully it does. You want to cross that line, that first goal that you have as a team as quickly as possible. You're counting on the Jaguars to go out and beat somebody, which that doesn't always sit well. But their offense, I think, is turning around a little bit. Their quarterback is starting to, is he really turning that corner? Their Lions defense has just been absolutely abysmal, but their offense still has a lot of juice, so it could be a shootout.
This is what I'll say, though. We interviewed T.J. Hawkinson and David Blau on the Audible for the Vikings, and me and Paul Allen asked, do you guys want to clinch this week? And for two former Lions, I'll say this. They want the Jags to lose. They want the Lions to win so they can win in Detroit, clinch when you're in Detroit. You get to get back on the plane. You get your NFC North champs T-shirts. And T.J. Hawkinson said if he has a big game in Detroit and they clinch the North, he will take the shirt off and down the chain. So that's why I wanted to go down for him that way. Go home to Detroit and win the NFC North in that building that those two guys are familiar with.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later. And we have, of course, the Vikings, Don, have a lot higher aspirations in winning this division, which is pretty much in the bag right now. But let's talk about we're going to talk about the great matchup today. But Justin Jefferson, rightfully NFC Offensive Player of the Month. Randy Moss never won that award. And he's putting up numbers which kind of people start whispering about MVPs, although wide receivers just don't win that award.
Never.
Ron, I don't want to ask you. I want to get your blood pressure going right now. But when you look at his body of work right now, and what impresses you, Don, about not just the player, the man, everything about him?
Well, what I really like about him is that even when he's double teamed, even at times triple teamed this year. I know that they've adjusted to get him open, but he's also had to adjust not only his mindset, but he always said, hey, listen, if it's a 50-50 ball, it's mine. I'm coming down with it. But he's also learned just subtle things. We saw it on one of those touchdowns, like where he'll look one way, but he'll go another, like just the nuances. I really like what he's doing. But he also said, hey, it's okay. My body of work for the Vikings is all I care about. If I get the MVP, even in the conversation, great. If not, what I do for the team, I hope, is enough.
Ron, you kind of said it's not going to happen. I mean, MVPs, wide receivers, not in the same sentence.
The problem is the voters, and so it's been 18 players that are non-quarterbacks ever to win MVP, one of them being Adrian Peterson. So, and I think that was the last time it was a non-quarterback was Adrian Peterson, if I'm not mistaken. But when you think about that, that's the problem with this voting. It always goes to quarterbacks. And you see guys like Micah Parsons tweet that out to Dan Orlovsky and Ryan Clark, like, hey, why are you guys always voting for quarterbacks? And so if you look at what Justin Jefferson has done, if he does get over 2,000 yards, I think he should be the NFL MVP. Will he? Probably not, because people are stuck on stupid with quarterbacks. Like, they just want to vote for a quarterback, and you're going to see, like, Pat Mahomes come up, Josh Allen, and all those guys. The good thing is Aaron Rodgers is not doing well, because if he was, they would have put him in there. So Justin Jefferson has to get 2,000 yards, in my opinion, probably to get the NFL MVP.
But, Pete, this young man you can tell he just wants to get better and better and better.
He does,
every week.
And that's the thing, is his consistency. He accounts for half of our passing game right there. And we saw a couple weeks earlier in the season, Philadelphia, even Detroit, where his numbers went down a little bit, but he's found a way to continue to be productive week in and week out, and that's the key to an MVP is the consistency. Now, it's a national type vote, right? So when people look at this game today, they're going to look at the box score and say, oh, JJ and Sauce Gardner, how did that go? And if JJ does a number on Gardner, or even if he doesn't, just has a great day today, people are going to look at that and say, oh, yeah. And the Vikings are going to have to go and make a big run in the playoffs. And if they do, let's face it, the country, and I'm not talking about here, I'm talking about the national sports media, they're not going to pinch their nose and want Cousins to be that or be part of that equation. Their favorite Viking nationally is going to be JJ. So in that respect, he might have a chance.
Ron, how badly do you want to see this one-on-one matchup with Sauce Gardner and Justin Jefferson today, and how often do you think we will see it today?
Well, Sauce Gardner's a kid I've heard about since he was in the 5th grade. I mean, I'm from Detroit. He's from Detroit. He went to my high school, Martin Luther King High School in Detroit. Shout out to Martin Luther King High School. So I've watched this kid grow. When you look at all the great players out of Detroit, Martin Luther King, he's just another one. And when you talk about Sauce Gardner not playing football as being a starter, a star until his senior year in high school, this is a kid that his ceiling has not been found yet. Like this, he still can grow. He's just learning this game, but I'm excited to watch it. Like Kevin O'Connell said, he's not shying away from it. Justin Jefferson said he's not shying away from it. Sauce Gardner said he's not going to follow Justin Jefferson, but he's looking forward to every time he matches up with him, because you look at his numbers, all the greats have not done much against him this year. And so I think this is going to be the one where, just like Pete said, if he wants to be MVP, he's got to go at Sauce, a 6'3" defensive back with long arms like Mel Blount. He's got to find a way to make some big catches.
Well, T.J. Hawkinson said for J.J. it's like going out to recess every day when he takes the field, so that's kind of interesting. But the flip side, Don Mitchell, the Vikings defense, I think a lot of fans getting frustrated, even the New England game. Lack of a pass rush. The center of the field seems to be open a lot. I mean, they're getting some people back today. Dalvin Tomlinson's back. Evans should be back in the secondary. But how concerned are you, or should we be, about this Viking defense as it continues on? Or because they're doing what it takes in the fourth quarter, that's okay?
Yeah, the pass defense is a big concern. You go into this, you don't want to give up chunk yardage. Mike White loves a team that plays zone defense. He loves that, and then the Vikings tend to play it. So if they can maybe make some adjustments and get in there, I think it was interesting. Ed Donatel said this week that they kind of adjust, so they don't want to expose people. They'll adjust and move it to a different side of the field. Maybe with Dalvin Tomlinson back up front, they can make some adjustments back. Caleb, if he's back, that'll be great. But that secondary, P2, I think, is the key today. He's going to really have to step up and kind of lead the charge in the secondary.
Well, that's the thing. Is it how much of a level of concern, not so much today's game, guys, but playoff time. I mean, you're talking about defensive teams can literally win playoff games.
Yeah, and again, Defense can win playoff games, but quarterbacks win Super Bowls, and I think that's the key. Like, you look at what some of these top quarterbacks have done and what the offense – it goes through the offense. And so in order to confuse a guy like Mike White, in order to be able to get it going when you think about the Vikings defense, and I hate to bring up college football, but if you watch that Michigan-Purdue game last night, and if you watch that Georgia game, those safeties, my cousin being one of them, Makari Page out of Michigan, those guys are playing at a different clip when you look at, being on the half, trying to make the quarterback think you're going to the middle, and then just getting over the top and making an interception. When you talk about Harrison Smith, that's what he does best. I love watching him walk up into the box and then haul ass to get back to the back to get to that half of that defense. And that's what he has to do to Mike White today. Make him think it's a different coverage, jump over the top, and go after it. Ed Reed, a guy I played with, same thing. He was great at disguising, and Harrison Smith fits right in there with those guys. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Harrison Smith sees in Mike White and what he can confuse him with, because I think there's a kid that can throw a couple picks today.
Should they be blitzing more?
Well, they're going to have to get pressure on the quarterback, and I think that's the big problem is you see so many just free runners in the secondary, and that's an issue, right? Those type of mental mistakes. I understand Duke Shelley and some of these younger corners are getting in there, and they're doing some things that maybe, I guess, try to help them, but you can't just leave the other part of the field open. It just seems like there are just too many. You look at the completion percentages of quarterbacks that come in here, they're always in the 70s, right? We're not doing a whole lot there. It's all about getting pressure on the quarterback with this defense. And if those front 4 or 5 guys are getting pressure, then that secondary looks a lot better. So that's the question. If you're not getting there with your rush, do you just sit back and play zone? Hasn't been working. You may have to just turn up the blitz and do what you have to do to continue to get pressure. Because if you drop people back, they're still wide open. You might as well end up sending
exactly.
I'm a fan of John Madden. I don't know if you played against little kids in John Madden. You just blitz them and blitz them. Who cares what happens?
Easy to do.
That's why I love what Pete said. Like, if I'm the linebackers coach or the DB coach, I'm like, go after them.
And with an offense like we have, you know what? It's okay if you get hit or burnt once or twice.
We got to keep the show moving, guys. We'll be back with Vikings Game Day Live. Pete will go inside the film room with Kevin O'Connell, the head coach. Always an entertaining segment. A lot more to come here on Vikings Game Day Live.
Put Pete Bursis back on the side.
Come on, man.
Let's go blitz.
Yeah, exactly.
Every down.
Winter is here, and we're here for you. On air.
And on Fox9.com.
On the Fox 9 weather app.
And on the Fox 9 YouTube channel.
Winter's here, and we're everywhere for you.
Hi, I'm Amy Hockert. I have just 10 seconds to tell you about a real time saver. It's Fox 9's 10 at 10. We bring you the day's top 10 stories in the first 10 minutes.
More is better, and Fox 9 now has more. More streaming, more local stories, more shows, and, well, more. Go ahead, try it out, and discover more on the Fox 9 News app and at fox9.com. Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store simply by scanning this QR code, and you can watch our shows anywhere, anytime.
Glad you're starting your work week with us here on the Fox 9 Morning News. Good to see you. I'm Tom Butler.
And I'm Alex Kendall. Hope your morning is good.
Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store or by scanning this QR code. We'll give you some time to scan and check it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Everything's better with an audience. Mr. Big, it's bath time. Oh, Biggie, good boy. And Han says, I can't eat it. It's chewy.
Everything is better with an audience. Watch The Jason Show, weekdays at 10 on Fox 9.
Want better brain health? Try these foods. Researchers say the best brain foods include green leafy veggies, fatty fish thanks to their omega-3 fatty acids, berries packed with flavors, tea and coffee, and even walnuts, consumption of which has been shown to lead to higher memory on test scores. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
Hey, it's Dr. Mike. The United States Preventive Service Task Force has come out with new guidelines that recommend your primary care provider screen you for anxiety. Now listen, folks.
Welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live, presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
And welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live. A look at US Bank Stadium. The Vikings and the Jets kicking off at noon on a brisk December day, but a very nice December day as Viking fans be getting ready to tailgate right up until kickoff and beyond. You know, I think Kevin O'Connell's been really generous with his time, and I don't care what level of football you've played or just as a fan. The way he takes us inside the film room has really been interesting, and we got another great segment that Pete Bursich did this week, sitting down with the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings.
Welcome back to another edition of Film Room with Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell, brought to you by Twin Cities Orthopedics. Now, Coach, one of the things I love about football is it often mirrors life.
Yep.
And in this case, it's not always what happens to you, but how you react to it. You have to be very proud of how the team reacted on Thursday night.
Yeah, it was huge. We knew leaving US Bank Stadium after the Cowboy game, bad taste in our mouths. The opportunity to come back in front of our home fans 4 days later and really get back to playing football the way we want to play, finding a way to win a football game against a really good, well-coached team. I was so proud of our guys' energy, their effort. They were locked in on a plan where you don't always get a ton of reps to prepare for an opponent that does a lot of different things. I think it speaks highly about where our team's at right now.
And good. And what's great, too, is all three phases are represented tonight.
Exactly. You don't win a game like this on a short week without really all three phases showing up. And on a night where I know it's been talked about a little bit, but I can't tell you how many times pregame meal, fast Friday practice, I go up to Kane and I say, is this the week? Is this the week? Because I find it hard to believe we could possibly go 17 games without this guy and his special skill set and the guys, other 10 guys out there blocking for him that we weren't going to find the end zone at least once this year, expecting it to happen again. He's obviously set the standard for that around the league. I think he's one of the best in our league, and they gave him an opportunity here, and there's a lot to really look at when we look at this. So first and foremost, setting up a left return here, and really what I want to make note of as we kind of see the track there, you'll see how fast Kane's rolling. But there's a guy right here that Vikings fans probably aren't familiar with. Maybe diehard fans that remember William Kwenku in the preseason flying around, tackling people. He earned the right to be on our practice squad because we just love the player, the tenacity, what he means, the looks he gives on the scout team. But he got called up. I'll circle him right here as he comes down. He's going to be number 47, kind of an outermost player. So just take a look right here at William, right in that spot, and just zone in. We'll get back to Kane and the 7 points here in a second, but it doesn't happen. This guy gets called up. Look at him engaging, physicality, finish. And that block right there, in my opinion, along with Metellus and Brian Asamoah and a guy like Nick Muse, that block right there is what springs him to really do that. And we showed that to the team. They were fired up. You always know a guy's loved by his teammates when you call him up in front of the whole team. I will say 19.86. Not quite. We've had a couple miles per hour this year. Not quite Kirk Cousins in the red zone again, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're showing one more of these clips this year where this guy's touching 20, 21 miles an hour, elite speed. But this was more about the execution of all 11 in a phase and in a time in a game where we just absolutely had to have it. Huge answer to what was a previous touchdown right there by the Patriots.
One of the great things with special teams, you see Munt, you see CJ Ham, right? You see a lot of guys who play a lot of offense and a lot of defense. And then you have the practice squad guys get called up, go out there, and all those guys working together. That's what makes big plays, right?
That's exactly right. And speaking of big plays, this was the go-ahead touchdown right here. And I just thought this was a great example. We had tried to get a variation of this play off multiple times in the game. We knew we were going to get some man coverage, but just kind of the cat and mouse sometimes of people trying to defend you maybe different ways than some of the percentages say coming into a game, short week. Patriots threw some different things at us, but we finally here get our man coverage. We're going to be running basically an all-out kind of a full max protection off of a run. We run multiple times. Look at the sell up front by these guys on the O-line. Johnny Munt fighting the good fight. KJ Osborne selling a similar kind of cross sift to the flat like he does on some of our runs. And then we're going to essentially run kind of a deep cross concept where Adam's going to be over the top of Justin, and really all Kirk's trying to do is he's trying to see how the defense is going to play this. And you got one of the best receivers on the planet in Justin Jefferson kind of screaming across the field right here. You're going to see he's going to take up a lot of attention. In fact, 1, 2, 3 Patriots end up going with Justin. But Adam Thielen, I cannot say enough about this guy's detail, how he prepares every week, how he leads our group, and then to show up flying across the field like that. And Kirk Cousins, as we take a look at the end zone, see Adam finishing that one. But Kirk Cousins, watch the pocket presence he has right here. We get versus really statistics would say the #1 pass rush in the league as far as getting to the quarterback. But just watch this pocket right here. Kirk gets to the top, good play action fake. Dalvin's sitting in there making sure we're secure. Here's Johnny Munt against a really good pass rusher, fighting the good fight right there. We've got a wall of Vikings offensive linemen, and what you're going to see is a pocket right here for Kirk to go through his progression. He's going to try to throw the ball to Justin, screaming across right there. 3 Patriots players go with him, and you'll see him right at the last second. He wants to throw it to Justin, but watch the progression right here. Snap, feet, and eyes all traveling together. His arm starts, and just about that time, as accurate as you can possibly be. A huge game-changing play for us right there.
We will see you here next week, right here on Coach Film Room with Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, just great insight as always. Not everyone like Ron Johnson can make this game look that easy. So, I mean, that's a great insight on that touchdown reception by Adam Thielen. Let's go down to the field. Ahmad Hicks from Fox 9 to the preview of a special homecoming here today, Ahmad.
Yeah, I know for many Vikings fans around the world, this is one of the most passionate and loyal fan bases there is. But I have a feeling this Sunday, a few Vikings fans will be rooting for a player on the opposing team, and his name is Jermaine Johnson. He attended Eden Prairie High School, and he was coached by Mike Grant, the son of Vikings legendary coach Bud Grant. Now, Grant says he's been a coach for the Eagles for the past 30 years, and he's seen 7 of his guys go on to play in the National Football League, but none were drafted in the first round until this past year with Jermaine Johnson. Now, the funny thing is, Coach Grant says back in the day, you would have never thought that Johnson, with the tall, slender, more of a basketball build, would turn into the star he is now. It wasn't until he came back home to watch one of his younger brothers play where Coach Grant realized that guy could make it.
One of his brothers was playing for us on the sophomore team, and he showed up on the sideline, and I looked down and I went, wait, who is that dude, man? I mean, that guy's huge. And I'm hoping it's going to be like a senior transfer or something, right? And I go, no, it's Jermaine. And he had really bulked up once he got to Georgia and to Florida State. So that was a different body. And I always say to the kids when they come back, like, where was that body when you were 17?
Now, unlike a majority of players that go on to a 4-year university, Johnson had a unique trail of his own. He had to blaze his own trail, one that was meant for him, says Coach Grant. We'll have his full journey from Eden Prairie to the NFL coming up later on in this show.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Great stuff. Look forward to that story coming up here in Vikings Game Day Live. We'll preview some of the other big games in the NFL. Right after this, Ben Lieber will be joining as well. Stay with us here on Vikings Game Day Live.
Winter is here, and we're here for you. On air.
And on Fox9.com.
On the Fox 9 weather app.
And on the Fox 9 YouTube channel.
Winter's here, and we're everywhere for you.
Hi, I'm Amy Hockert. I have just 10 seconds to tell you about a real time saver. It's Fox 9's 10 at 10. We bring you the day's top 10 stories in the first 10 minutes.
More is better, and Fox 9 now has more. More streaming, more local stories, more shows, and, well, more. Go ahead, try it out, and discover more on the Fox 9 News app and at fox9.com. Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store simply by scanning this QR code, and you can watch our shows anywhere, anytime.
Glad you're starting your work week with us here on the Fox 9 Morning News. Good to see you. I'm Tom Butler.
And I'm Alex Kendall. Hope your morning is good.
Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store or by scanning this QR code. We'll give you some time to scan and check it out.
Thank you, thank you. Everything's better with an audience. Mr. Big, it's bath time. Oh, Biggie, good boy. And Han says, I can't eat it, it's chewy.
Everything is better with an audience. Watch The Jason Show, weekdays at 10 on Fox 9.
Want better brain health? Try these foods. Researchers say the best brain foods include green leafy veggies, fatty fish thanks to their omega-3 fatty acids, berries packed with flavors, tea and coffee, and even walnuts, consumption of which has been shown to lead to higher memory on test scores. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
Hey, it's Dr. Mike. The United States Preventive Service Task Force has come out with new guidelines that recommend your primary care provider screen you for anxiety. Now listen, folks, if you have anxiety, you can't sleep, you're drinking too much, you need to get help, and there is help available. I'm Dr. Mike Sirigliano with the Fox.
You're watching Vikings Game Day Live. Presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
And welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live. The Vikings and Jets. Jets getting warmed up on the end zone here at US Bank Stadium. And Ben Lever has joined the conversation, the pride and joy of Kansas State.
Oh, why the sigh? Why the big?
You know what? I just had to exhale a little bit. That was a great football game.
It was an awesome football game. Yeah. It was super sweet game to watch. I was a little nervous. I got to admit, I was puckering there at the end. We let him come back. But, it was a great game. Happy for Kansas State.
Yeah, it really was a great showcase. Listen, we got some NFL games to talk about today. One that really doesn't mean a lot to the Vikings except for the fact that it's the Packers and the Bears. And, Aaron, I own the Bears. Rodgers expected to be a quarterback. Ron Johnson, your thoughts on can Rodgers own them again?
I don't know if he can own them, but I think it's going to be up to who the Bears have at quarterback. If Justin Fields can't go, then you're looking at a basically opportunity for Aaron Rodgers to do absolutely nothing and still win that game by 1 or 2 points. So, yeah, I think he can do it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Pack on this one. Look, the Bears are a hot mess. They're basically selling off their whole team. Their defense is last ranked in pass rush. They can't stop anybody in the pass game. So I'm going to go Packers by 4-6.
I agree. The Bears are an absolute disaster. They will only win by 32 today.
The game that matters to the Vikings, the Jaguars and the Lions. The Jaguars win. The Vikings win. The Vikings win the division, Pete. You think that they have a chance? Of course, with the quarterback, they can do anything.
And I don't like counting on other teams to do stuff. I think Jacksonville maybe offensively has turned the edge, but I think Detroit will come through and win this one, and we'll have to go to Detroit next week to win the division.
And the last one we got to get to real quickly, really one of the best matchups of the day, Miami at San Francisco, Ben.
Woo, boy.
Tua and against Jimmy G.
Well, I'm a believer in this Miami team. I really am. I don't think people are talking about them enough. I don't think they're getting enough respect. Everybody's loving on San Francisco right now, which is fine because they're built for the playoffs. But I'm going to go Miami on this one by just a couple points.
I will agree with
Dolphins by 6. Yep.
Dolphins by 6.
Woo, by 6.
Yeah. Great matchups all the way around. You got Kansas City playing as well against Cincinnati. I think my mic just got cut out. Listen, we're going to take a break, come back with more in Vikings Game Day Live. Don't forget, Fox Bet Super 6, a chance to win $100,000 of Terry's money. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Winter is here, and we're here for you. On air.
And on Fox9.com.
On the Fox 9 weather app. And on the Fox 9 YouTube channel.
Winter's here, and we're everywhere for you.
Hi, I'm Amy Hockard. I have just 10 seconds to tell you about a real time saver. It's Fox 9's 10 at 10. We bring you the day's top 10 stories in the first 10 minutes.
More is better, and Fox 9 now has more. More streaming, more local stories, more shows, and, well, more. Go ahead, try it out, and discover more on the Fox 9 News app and at fox9.com. Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store simply by scanning this QR code, and you can watch our shows anywhere, anytime.
Glad you're starting your work week with us here on the Fox 9 Morning News. Good to see you. I'm Tom Butler.
And I'm Alex Cundham. Hope your morning is good.
Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store or by scanning this QR code. We'll give you some time to scan and check it out.
Thank you.
Everything's better with an audience. Mr. Big, it's bath time. Oh, Biggie, good boy. And Han says, I can't eat it, it's chewy.
Everything is better with an audience. Watch The Jason Show, weekdays at 10 on Fox 9.
Want better brain health? Try these foods. Researchers say the best brain foods include green leafy veggies, fatty fish thanks to their omega-3 fatty acids, berries packed with flavonoids, tea and coffee, and even walnuts, consumption of which has been shown to lead to higher memory on test scores. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
Hey, it's Dr. Mike. The United States Preventive Service Task Force has come out with new guidelines that recommend your primary care provider screen you for anxiety. Now listen, folks, if you have anxiety, you can't sleep, you're drinking too much, you need to get help, and there is help available. I'm Dr. Mike Sirigliano with the Fox.
This is Vikings Game Day Live, presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
And welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live. The doors are now open here at US Bank Stadium, and the fans will be filing in, of course, another sellout crowd and anxious to bellow the entire 3 hours plus for the Vikings host the New York Jets, as we just talked about, with a chance to wrap up the NFC North if the Jacksonville Jaguars can knock off the Lions in Detroit as well. Let's go right back down before we talk to these gentlemen. We're going to go back down the field to Don Mitchell with the latest on what's going on with the Jets and a lot more. Don?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of weird today. Right behind me, the Jets are just starting to come into the building, so they're arriving maybe a little later than what you would normally see. But, of course, today, everyone is talking about the premier matchup between Justin Jefferson and Ahmad. We know him better as Sauce Gardner, right? This is going to be the premier matchup of the day. Jefferson, of course, averaging 8.5 catches and 136 yards per game in his last 7 games. That's not including Dallas. We'll just forget about that. But when you match him up against Sauce Gardner, the best cover corner in the league, it's going to be amazing. Now get this. He's been targeted 53 times, and only 23 of those passes have been caught. He's never allowed more than 4 catches per game and beaten for 20-plus gains only twice this season. So JJ has his hands full for sure. And Sauce has only allowed 1 touchdown, and that came in his 2nd game ever in the NFL. Amari Cooper had that touchdown, and even on that one, some would say that Sauce gave it up for the safety to cover and allowed Amari to cover. So basically, bottom line, it's going to be your wide receiver 1 against your cover corner 1. So it is going to be an amazing matchup. Even Wes Phillips this week said, let's just watch them play and see how this all plays out. So they're even fans today in this game within a game. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Don. Yeah, I think everyone's looking forward to JJ against Sauce Gardner, but on the offensive side of the ball, I have to look him up all the time. Oh, yeah, who's the quarterback for him? Mike White. And, Ben, well, since you're cackling about this, Zach Wilson done with the Jets? Are we going to hear from him again? And what is Mike White doing for this team other than getting the locker room behind him?
I think providing confidence and capability that they didn't feel like they had in Zach Wilson. And, look, I think everybody's talked about how quickly he gets the ball out. The offense looked much more efficient last week against the Bears. Now, obviously, you got to think about the Bears' defense is not great, but check out this statistic. He averaged 2.46 seconds per throw last week, so he gets the ball out quick. In contrast, Zach Wilson only threw the ball under 2.5 seconds 1 time all season. So big difference in the way their offense operates.
And Ron Johnson, if you're a Viking fan, if you're watching this game today, if you're paying attention to it, number 17 wide receiver Garrett Wilson Ohio State, you see the guy to watch for Mike White.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you think about this offense, period, though, you got Corey Davis as well, who has some speed, big body guy. But when you look at Garrett Wilson, Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr., you talk about Chris Olave, all these Ohio State receivers have been coming to the NFL ready to play. And so this is just another one of those guys that Ryan Day is taking credit for that probably should be Urban Meyer's guy, but different conversation. But when you think about this offense, his matchup, he's going to go deep. He's going to go boom or bust. They run a lot of over routes, a lot of crossing routes. They want to try to confuse the safeties. They've got to not get tricked. I think I heard a guy say it, Ben probably knows this, don't let your eyes lie to you. Don't let you think it's something that's not there. I guess that's a defensive thing, but that's what these DBs, don't let the eyes lie. Because the hips won't. Shakira can tell you that. The hips are going to tell you exactly where they're going with it.
A Shakira reference.
Hey, I had to get it in there.
Pete, but the Jets' defense is rightfully getting a lot of accolades, talking a lot about the Jets' offense, but it's the defense that's really the reason why they are a playoff contender right now.
It is, and they have an unbelievable amount of athleticism and speed on this defense, but I think their Achilles heel lately has been tackles. They've missed 20 tackles in the last 2 games. 16 of those 20 tackles came at linebacker and safety. So they have the speed to get there, but they don't always make an impact when they do. And with any team with speed, and this is an upfield, the defensive linemen, they go. You don't run away from a team like this. You run right at them, and you have to continue to do so and wear them out. And let's face it, I think kind of like the New England Patriots a week ago, they haven't faced an offense as balanced as ours in this season, or it's been quite some time. So hopefully our offense can get out. They don't blitz a lot. They send 4. Yep. They don't blitz much at all. They believe the 4 men up front are going to get the job done. We'll see if that you give Cousins time. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what you play, he'll pick you apart.
So does it mean we're going to see a little bit of a shootout? Because Ben, I mean, if you're Mike White, you're coming in here looking. I saw what Dak Prescott did. I saw what the Patriots did. I'm not going to be intimidated by this crowd. I know what I can do against this defense today until proven otherwise.
Well, it very well could be. I mean, look, if all things remain the same, he's going to get the ball out quick, which means that we're not going to get much of a pass rush. So everybody at home, calm down when you're sitting there like, well, it's at the third quarter, we haven't hit the quarterback yet, because they get the ball out so quickly and a lot of designed hot routes. So I think the biggest thing for us for a defense is we obviously have to tackle well in space, but we have to disguise our coverages because a lot of those timing routes, they're predicted based on, and Ron knows this, based on the coverage that you think it's going to be. We got to show them things that are not necessarily there. Throw off the timing and the rhythm. But, yeah, if they get on a roll in our defense, look, it hasn't been great. And it could end up being a shootout.
And to Ben's point, though, when he's talking about that, Garrett Wilson, if he sees single high or 2 high safeties, he's thinking I have the bender inside. If you can show 2 high, making the quarterback think I'm going to have the bender, and somehow last minute rock and roll, 1 safety comes down, 1 goes to the middle, he can that half a second of like, oh, wait a minute, that's not it. That's when you have the quarterback where you want him. But if he can figure it out, like Ben said, pick you apart, it's going to be a shootout. Well, if he can do it.
Keep in mind the Vikings are 8-0 in 1-score games this year, so buckle up. We're probably going to have another one of those again today. Why would
Has there been a blowout this year by the Vikings?
No. Other than the Philly game, we weren't ever involved.
We don't want to talk about that
one. Or Dallas.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. Don't bring that up either.
We'll be right back with more from Vikings Game Day Live from U.S. Bank Stadium. We're going to go one-on-one with Jordan Hicks.
Winter is here, and we're here for you. On air.
And on Fox9.com.
On the Fox 9 weather app.
And on the Fox 9 YouTube channel.
Winter's here, and we're everywhere for you.
Hi, I'm Amy Hockard. I have just 10 seconds to tell you about a real time saver. It's Fox 9's 10 at 10. We bring you the day's top 10 stories in the first 10 minutes.
More is better, and Fox 9 now has more. More streaming, more local stories, more shows, and, well, more. Go ahead, try it out, and discover more on the Fox 9 News app and at fox9.com. Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store simply by scanning this QR code, and you can watch our shows anywhere, anytime.
Glad you're starting your work week with us here on the Fox 9 Morning News. Good to see you. I'm Tom Butler.
And I'm Alex Cundham. Hope your morning is good.
Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store or by scanning this QR code. We'll give you some time to scan and check it out.
They
Thank you. Everything's better with an audience. Mr. Big, it's bath time. Oh, Biggie, good boy. And Han says, I can't eat it, it's chewy.
Everything is better with an audience. Watch The Jason Show, weekdays at 10 on Fox 9.
Want better brain health? Try these foods. Researchers say the best brain foods include green leafy veggies, fatty fish thanks to their omega-3 fatty acids, berries packed with fights, tea and coffee, and even walnuts, consumption of which has been shown to lead to higher memory on test scores. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
Hey, it's Dr. Mike. The United States Preventive Service Task Force has come out with new guidelines that recommend your primary care provider screen you for anxiety. Now listen, folks, if you have anxiety, you can't sleep, you're drinking too much, you need to get help, and there is help available. I'm Dr. Mike Sirigliano with the Fox Medical Team.
This is our home,
He has collaboration, communication, culture.
our turf. This is our family, our tradition.
This is how we do it every game day.
Whether suspense or celebration, this is what ties us together. Because this is our team, and this is our home. Fox 9 is your official home of the Minnesota Vikings.
Everyone loves a nice holiday card. Send us one of yours before Christmas Eve, and we'll send you one of ours in return. Happy holidays from Fox 9.
I'm Heather Sullivan with Sullivan Smart Sense. Is all this inflation keeping you from enjoying eating out? You could save up to 35% on food and up to 20% on drinks.
Welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live, presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
And welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live. Some of the fans hitting the stands already, hitting the concession stands, hitting the tailgating. A lot of excitement leading up to the Vikings game against the New York Jets at noon here today. And Vikings Game Day Live would never be the same without hearing from the man himself, the Vox, down on the field with his bird's eye view. The one and only Paul Allen. PA, take it away. Look at that hair.
HOF Rosie, holy cow, Ron with that cool three-piece suit. Nice job, RJ. The bird's eye view today from the field before the Vikings play the Jets, involves the first and the last, and the significance of the first and the last. The first being the first quarter, where when the Minnesota Vikings score first, and they've scored on their first drive a lot this season, they're 7-0. The last gets you to the fourth quarter, where the Vikings have scored 99 fourth quarter points, Rosie. That's first in the NFL. The Jets have allowed 33 fourth quarter points. That's the fewest in the NFL. So that could dictate terms today in a game. The Minnesota Vikings are trying to sweep the AFC East. Bills dead, Dolphins dead, Patriots dead. Now it's time to ground these Jets and move to 10-2. That's the words I view, HOF.
All right, thanks, PA. Good point about the AFC East and how the Vikings have played them. If the Vikings win the toss, they've had pretty good success getting the football and going. Are they going to take it and not to throw it to the second half? What do you think about that?
Second half defense. You just showing me the second half defense for the Jets. I mean, they're basically the top of the category for a lot of categories. So I don't know. Maybe you take that if you win the toss, you take the opportunity to get points on the board right away.
Yeah, and it's worked throughout the season, but it did not against the Dallas Cowboys.
No.
Right? That first drive you went down and you stalled. But you look at this, on a second-half defense for the Jets, interception percentage first, yards per play third, yards attempt third, yards allowed fourth, sacks per attempt fourth. Point margin fifth, points allowed sixth, third down percentage sixth. I mean,
it just goes on and on.
It just goes on and on. I mean, they make adjustments and they make adjustments and they make big plays. So, you may just want to take that football first.
It seems like they've been doing a lot going against the green, but that's what happens, and they've had more success than not this year doing it. Let's go back on the field. Tatum Everett standing by with a nice piece with linebacker Jordan Hicks. Tatum.
Yeah, Dalvin Tomlinson hasn't been in the game for the last 4 weeks. They're really excited to welcome him back in the mix, especially someone like, as you mentioned, Jordan Hicks. The pass rush has not been their strength this season, but with the return of Tomlinson, Hicks, as well as the rest of the defense, is excited to face this Jets offense, who's been newly inspired by replacement or new quarterback Mike White. Unfortunately, I was out this week, and so Paul Allen was kind enough to step in for me. He has this great chat with Jordan Hicks about football on and off the field.
Hicks, one of those key offseason acquisitions for the Vikings, coming over from the Arizona Cardinals and fitting in nicely.
Hey, tonight about domination. Get in here, be physical, fly around. Yes,
oh my heavens, the speed.
Jordan Hicks pulls the trigger there, and
he's been really all over the field, so Hicks is playing at a high level right now.
Here's one off the hands of Gainwell and intercepted by Hicks.
He absolutely destroyed him.
Life as an inside linebacker with Dalvin Tomlinson or without Dalvin Tomlinson, what's it like?
Oh, man, he is extremely dominant up front. So life with him is amazing. We've got a group of guys between Jay Bull, Tonga, and obviously Harrison, who's been playing, but guys that have rotated and been able to fill some of that void. But, having him back out there and to feel his presence, to feel his energy out there, and then just to watch him make plays and be as dominant as he is, playing inside linebackers much more fun with him.
So the hardcore part of it, Jordan, would it be with Dalvin as good as he is, with his size, with Harrison and the other defensive end, you and Kendricks inside? It's keeping bodies off you guys so you can use your gifts and run?
It is, and there's a part of that, and it's a part of just him being as physical as he is. I mean, you watch his film when he was playing, it's guys constantly getting knocked on one leg, as they're trying to climb, or, they double him and he's just manhandling the double team and just, making plays in the backfield. So it's an extra person that they have to account for. And, if you leave him one-on-one with an offensive guard, it's usually not a good matchup.
Now with this team, other than the 9-2, and given everything you've seen, just what hits your heart with what truly is special with this group?
I think since day one, the connection of this team has been emphasized, but then also, fostered and intentionally fostered. We've learned defensively, we do these things, where we have a presentation on our teammates, right? And we learn about their past and their history. And
Interesting.
It's about the connection and knowing somebody deeper than just, he's, my defensive end,
right.
But knowing that, where he comes from, what, his struggles are in his life that he's had to overcome. And then, when you're out there on the field, all it does is strengthen that connection, and it allows it to grow organically. And then when you're in those moments in the fourth quarter, like we've been just about every game this year, right? You can look at that man and know, you've overcome a lot. I trust you. We've got each other's back.
Now, you'll get quarterback Mike White against the Jets. And your first interception, interestingly, came against the Jets and Ryan Fitzpatrick. So this quarterback with just a handful of starts and one this year, how do you handicap that? How do you get ready for that?
Yeah, you don't have much film on who he is and kind of what their philosophy is when he's in there, right? Obviously, when the other quarterback was in, they were a certain way. But you have one game to look at and kind of get an idea of what they're going to try and do and how things might change a little bit. But, you go back, you see who they are. First thing we got to do is stop the run defensively. They take a lot of pride in that. And then we got to attack the ball. We got to be sound in our keys and attack the ball.
Your wife, Ivana, and you have 3 kids. Being a dad, what's special to you?
Yeah, it's changed me in so many different ways. And I'm constantly learning from them about myself, about accountability and teaching and
it humbles
and
you.
growing, and it humbles you, right? Slows you down. It's extremely rewarding to watch them grow and to watch them cling on to some stuff that you try and emphasize. I'm trying to pour into my kids every day and see the fruit of that grow.
Now, you're an emotional player, and so is Patrick Peterson. And you guys both played for Arizona. So Arizona comes here this year, and you beat the Cardinals. And Patrick, during the game, was so emotional and so emotional after the game. You were more even-keeled. Why do you think he was so emotional?
Well, first of all, that's who Pat is. Pat comes on game day, turned up.
Watch me in the end zone, go for 6 today.
Pat poured so much into that team and that organization, that city. I was there on the back few years with him, but the legend of Patrick Peterson in Arizona is, outstanding. So for the way things to end, I think the way it did hurt. And, you always want to outlast and prove those wrong that don't believe in you, right? And that's the best thing in sports. That's the best thing in the world. And so you see that emotion, that raw emotion come out on that day.
And Patrick Peterson is one of those guys, as well as Jordan Hicks, who anchors this defense. The veteran Hicks told me a couple of weeks ago, actually, that just being able to stay consistent in this league is being able to stay on the field and staying healthy. And obviously, with the addition of Dalvin Tomlinson and getting a Caleb Evans back, is making this defense healthier and hopefully stronger against this Jets team, who is going to come in here and give these Vikings their best shot.
All right, thank you, Tatum. Nice look at Jordan Hicks, adding a lot to this Vikings defense. My cause, my cleats. This is a big day in the National Football League. NFL players and staff members alike are selecting a cause that's really personal to them. Many of them donate these cleats and wearing them today, and there's some really innovative ones, as you can see here, around the National Football League and here with the Minnesota Vikings as well. In fact, we look at the Adam Thielen Foundation. The general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, had a really powerful message in describing why his cleats are important to him.
I think this is so important. I think this is honestly the next frontier where we go. We've done all this with technology and different things, and I think we really need to focus on the human, the person themselves, and really work on that and understand how they tick and how we can all live the best life to the fulfillment we want. Obviously, as I come to this position, it is more public facing, and I think one of the great things about this is we can use that platform for something good, and this is something I'm really passionate about that's been great in my life. Obviously, it's something that impacts all of us, and would love for not just my impact, Kevin's impact, the Vikings' impact to not just be on the field, but also helping people and leaving this world a better place.
Back with our crew here, Ron Johnson, Ben Lieber, and Pete Bursich. And Ron, Kwesi, we don't hear from him too much. He kind of stays in the background, but what's impressed you about his tour of duty here so far with the Minnesota Vikings and how he's handled things?
Well, I mean, I love the way he says he's a numbers analytics guy, but he also says the numbers are driven by people, and he's a people person. And he was telling me as a GM, he had to realize I'm the general manager of people. And so that's why, I mean, that's part of his cause. He wants to understand people, how they tick, what gets them going. And I think it does vote well for players. Like if you understand a player, how they tick, when you're looking at the interview process coming up in the offseason for potential free agents, draft picks, I think the guy's onto something.
And Ben, we've always talked about analytics mostly associated with baseball, but is it applying more to the NFL right now? If you see a guy like Kwesi and what he's been doing with his direction and his future of the Minnesota Vikings franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of coaches around the league that have been using analytics and probability and statistics throughout. Now it's just becoming more top down. You look at special teams. Oh, when are we going to onside kick? Should we go for 2? Those little small metrics have always been in football, but now they're really applying it to the person, the player. All the things they measure at the combine and how that all relates to the way they play on the field. So yes, the top-down metrics and analytics, big part of the game, and as long as you use it correctly, it's not going to cloud your judgment on who the player really is on the field.
Yeah, good point. Pete, before you escape and have to spend the rest of the afternoon with PA in the booth, your final thoughts about this matchup today. A lot of intriguing matchups, obviously, starting with the Jefferson Sauce Gardner one, but beyond that, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think with Mike White, you take a look. He threw the ball to 10 different receivers last week. The week before that, Zach Wilson against New England only had 9 completions the entire game. The guy spreads the football around. What he does do is diagnose before the play very well, so you have to disguise. But he does make mistakes after the ball is snapped. That's what you got to force him into. He's come in. He beat Cincinnati a year ago. Why hasn't he stayed? Well, he hasn't stayed because he turns the football over. We'll see if that starts today. That begins with pressure. Hopefully we can get ourselves a pick or two.
Now we're going to hear more from Pete Burcich on tape because he's going to take us into the film room to look more about Mike White, a guy we hadn't heard of until a couple of weeks ago for the most part. Stay with us here on Vikings Game Day Live from US Bank Stadium.
Winter is here, and we're here for you. On air.
And on Fox9.com.
On the Fox 9 weather app.
And on the Fox 9 YouTube channel.
Winter's here, and we're everywhere for you.
Hi, I'm Amy Hockert. I have just 10 seconds to tell you about a real time saver. It's Fox 9's 10 at 10. We bring you the day's top 10 stories in the first 10 minutes.
More is better, and Fox 9 now has more. More streaming, more local stories, more shows, and, well, more. Go ahead, try it out, and discover more on the Fox 9 News app and at fox9.com. Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store simply by scanning this QR code, and you can watch our shows anywhere, anytime.
Glad you're starting your work week with us here on the Fox 9 Morning News. Good to see you. I'm Tom Butler.
And I'm Alex Kundum. Hope your morning is good.
Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store or by scanning this QR code. We'll give you some time to scan and check it out.
Thank you, thank you. Everything's better with an audience.
Mr. Big, it's bath time. Oh, Biggie, good boy. And Han says, I can't eat it, it's chewy.
Everything is better with an audience. Watch The Jason Show, weekdays at 10 on Fox 9.
Want better brain health? Try these foods. Researchers say the best brain foods include green leafy veggies, fatty fish thanks to their omega-3 fatty acids, berries packed with phytes, tea and coffee, and even walnuts, consumption of which has been shown to lead to higher memory on test scores. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
Hey, it's Dr. Mike. The United States Preventive Service Task Force has come out with new guidelines that recommend your primary care provider screen you for anxiety. Now listen, folks, if you have anxiety, you can't sleep, you're drinking too much, you need to get help, and there is help available. I'm Dr. Mike Sirigliano with the Fox Medical Team.
This is our home,
He has collaboration, communication, culture.
our turf. This is our family, our tradition.
This is how we do it every game day.
Whether suspense or celebration, this is what ties us together. Because this is our team, and this is our home. Fox 9 is your official home of the Minnesota Vikings.
Everyone loves a nice holiday card. Send us one of yours before Christmas Eve, and we'll send you one of ours in return. Happy holidays from Fox 9.
I'm Heather Sullivan.
You're watching Vikings Game Day Live. Presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
Yes, you can see 90 minutes until kickoff here. The Vikings and the New York Jets. Again, repeating, the Vikings win. The Lions lose at home to Jacksonville. The Vikings will win the NFC North really early. They'll be 10-2. But first things first, back to our show here at Game Day Live. Mark Rosen along with Ron Johnson, Ben Lieber. We're going to go back on the field to Don Mitchell to get the latest on what's going on down there. Donnie.
You know, a lot of people are getting the popcorn out for the JJ Sauce matchup, but there's another matchup that Vikings fans might be biting at their fingernails when it comes to Mike White versus the Vikings defense, and specifically the pass defense that has not really had a great time as of yet. Thank goodness for some fourth quarter heroics. Now, I have some sources in New York and New Jersey talking about the Jets saying today is a quote-unquote ideal schematic matchup for Mike White. And why? He said because he's most successful versus defenses that play a lot of zone. And the Vikings are one of the zone heaviest in the NFL. Their worst second in 2 games, the Pats and the Bills, as we all know, versus teams with man coverage well over 30%. And that is the approximate league average, 30% for man coverage. Under 30, he finds success. So right now, the Jets are feeling pretty good about Mike White's success rate when it comes to the pass defense for the Vikings. Now, the Vikes, we know they're 32nd in passing yards. They've allowed 276.1 per game. And their man coverage, they only go to it 15.2% of the time. So that feeds into the Jets' narrative quite well. They're the second lowest in the league, except for the Rams, who only go 13.8 in that debate. So now the Vikings, we all know they can adjust. So we're going to have to see today if they can indeed adjust and maybe go to some man coverage when needed and not play so much heavy on zone if that's working for White. But we'll have to see. Now, we talked about some of the injuries on the secondary, right? When we want Cam Dancer still out, Caleb Evans may play today. That'll be a nice boost. And then up front, hopefully that can help the secondary in the back with the passing game as Delvin Tomlinson is back. But the main key will have to be adjustments if Mike White does indeed get going against the Vikings zone. So we'll have to wait and see. And of course, there's always that fourth quarter heroics that we have seen if need be. So that's another matchup, White versus the pass defense, to keep an eye on today. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Dawn. Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about Zach Wilson being benched. You expected maybe Joe Flacco to take over, but the veteran is not. He's backing up Mike White today, so it shows you how this thing is all played out in New York. And as Pete said before he left, there's a lot going on with Mike White and how he adjusts and what he's trying to do with this team. And he takes us behind the scenes a little bit in the film room to show us what Mike White has been doing, strengths and weaknesses.
Welcome back to another edition of Vikings Film Room, brought to you by the Vikings Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Pete Persich. Now, the Minnesota Vikings look to go undefeated against the AFC East when the New York Jets come to town this Sunday. Now, these Jets received an offensive shot in the arm with the starting of quarterback Mike White. Let's do a deep dive into the film and see what Mike White brings to the table and what the Vikings are going to have to do to stop him. One of the things that you're going to notice right away with Mike White, who kind of looks like a VEN intern, by the way, but I digress. He spreads the ball around. That's the first thing. The second thing is that he executes what the offense calls for. He's very, very good at that, and we're going to have plenty of examples. The first example we're going to show you is against 3-deep coverage. Now, 3-deep coverage, what does that mean? Well, a lot of high, low, and medium options, and Mike White executed these brilliantly. On this first play, the Bears are playing a 3-deep coverage sort of in the red zone, but you're going to see as White gets to the top of his drop, you have the deep third defender on this side. He is taken out. He is gone. Then you have a deep middle defender. The problem is you have this area. And one of these two Bear defenders needs to help get in here, get some air on this pass, buy some time for the safety, but they're both biting on the cheese route, which opens this thing up. Mike White has a great pocket, has time. This is what he can do. He's a veteran quarterback. He knows what he's doing. And in this case, delivers this pass right on time, right where it needs to be, open, touchdown. This is the shot in the arm that he gave the Jets. Okay, in the red zone, he can also execute. In this case, you're seeing too high safety. That's what you get when you get deep in the red zone. You're not going to get a deep middle safety because all he's going to do is guard the goalpost. But watch how this play develops. And watch his options, okay? When he gets to the top of his drop, the Bears have this thing covered, right? They have an in and out on this deep route. They've got this guy covering him in the flat, a guy over the middle. and Kendall Vildor and the safety have this receiver bracketed. He right now has nowhere to go with this football. The problem is what happens right here. The corner needs to keep his outside leverage because this part of the field is wide open. But the receiver does a great job of getting himself back outside, and as soon as that opens up, as soon as Mike White sees that, boom, he throws the football. He executes the red zone as well. All right, another example against 3 deep. The Bears don't do a whole lot to disguise it. I mean, we sit here and you see a corner here, one safety deep in the middle of the field. He knows the coverage that he's getting. He also knows the route is a 3-out strong type of a route, so he's just going to read who has the deep outside. In this case, our old friend Tyler Conklin is going to be the beneficiary of this route. Play action. White gets the top of his drop. Notice you have the deep route. He's pulling this corner out. This corner is either going to have to drop off to work here and turn this guy over to the free safety, or one of these 2 defenders has to get over here to get some time, on the football. But White is experienced enough to know that this section of the field right here is going to come wide open. Knows Conklin's going to get there, throws him the football wide open, big play. Again, if you don't disguise, Mike White is going to have a successful day. Now you can see why the Jets are excited. Mike White's spreading that football around, getting it to different receivers. We're seeing why the fans are excited because he's executing the offense. But we've also taken a look into Mike White's kryptonite. He likes to throw that football to the opposite team. The Vikings need to get a couple picks to slow this guy down.
Yeah, I think Pete's predicting a couple of picks. Now, here's our inactive list. Really, this list has a lot more to do with Christian Darrisaw still out with concussion protocol. He's hopeful of coming back in Detroit. But it's really more important, Pete and Ron, Ben and Ron, who's back with the Minnesota Vikings today. Dalvin Tomlinson back in the lineup and Caleb Evans in that secondary. And Ben, what does that mean to this Vikings defense? They've been missing both those guys.
Oh, well, I tell you what, I think early parts of the season, until Zadarius Smith really got going, I really thought that Dalvin Tomlinson was the number one key guy on defense. He was my defensive MVP. I didn't think that we're going to lose him and miss him as much as we did the last 2 weeks in the run game, but boy, oh boy, we have been very poor against the run. We could not get to the passer at times as well, and that's the sneaky thing about him. He's a better pass rusher than people think from that interior spot.
And Ron, the Vikings are hopeful that Cam Dantzler will be back in a week or two, because who would have thunk that the Vikings are really anxious to see this young man get back in this lineup.
Yeah, and Pete was saying it off camera too, that when DBs have a chance to play, they learn the more they play, and that's kind of the issue with Cam Dantzler. He has been on and off. Even when he's in games, he comes out of games. So I think for him, it's going to be make sure he's 100% healthy. Hopefully a Caleb Evans, because this is a playoff team. So don't rush back. If a Caleb Evans can get it done and they can get a 100% healthy Cam Dantzler, well, nobody's 100% healthy in the NFL, 90% healthy Cam Dantzler, because this is a playoff team. So you know you're going to be playing into late January. Yep. So you want to make sure this kid's healthy and ready to go.
Well, the excitement's building back on the field as well. Let's go back down to Don Mitchell and Gabe Henderson with their winning formula.
You know, what you set up there just feeds in perfectly to what we're talking about here, because the first key, the Vikings defense, they need to, it sounds so basic, but they need to tackle well and not miss them.
Yeah, and when you look at this Jets offense, last week, Mike White, 315 passing yards, 169 of those yards, almost two-thirds of those yards were yards after catch. So if the Vikings don't tackle well, I think the Jets will have similar success than last week. Mike White doesn't throw the ball down the field, so keep everything in front of you, tackle well, and play sound defense.
And they also need to disguise up front, right?
Yeah, I mean, think about Mike White, a young quarterback, a guy that's only got 3 starts in his NFL career. When it comes to pre-snap, he is phenomenal. When the ball is snapping, you're lined up somewhere, he's like, okay, I'm throwing here. But once you rotate, when the ball is snapped, that's when Mike White has problems. So we have to have really good disguise, and it's good to have some veteran guys in our secondary to be able to do that. But you can't show the same look twice to Mike White, because he'll do what he did last week.
Now, when it comes to just the trench battle on defense, Dalvin Tomlinson back, Christian Darrisaw for offense still out, but what a key factor to have big Dalvin back.
Yeah, with Dalvin back, this defense turns into a top 10 run defense in the NFL. Before he got hurt, we were the 8th best run defense in the NFL. Now we're 15th best. So that impact has been felt with his calf injury the past few weeks. But having him back we're able to get some of that interior pressure. And then on the offensive side of the ball, our offensive line has to do a really good job of blocking their front for it. They have a guy named Keenan Williams. He was a Defensive Player of the Month for October for the New York Jets. And what he does on film is something that needs to be noticed, because we're going to have to find him wherever he is. And if you win the trenches today, you win today's game.
And then with, you have Booth, that is out.
Yeah.
You have Camp Dancer, who is still out.
Yep.
Getting
He was
a Caleb
warming up today,
Evans
which
back.
is
He was
great.
warming
Yeah.
up, so it's a sight to see.
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully next game he'll
Yep.
come in at least.
Yep.
But when you get a Caleb Evans back, that at least is a nice feather in your cap, knowing that the pass defense needs a little help.
Absolutely, and it's going to be rookie on rookie. Garrett Wilson on a Caleb Evans. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for him to show the world that he's a really good quarterback, and why not do it on such a stage like this? So he's a presence. He can tackle well. He can cover well. He's long. He's fast. So we need that to help our defense continue to get better when it comes to pass defense.
And of course, we buried the lead, but Justin Jefferson against Sauce Gardner. It's got to happen.
I wish they could go one-on-one. Just
That's
put
right.
Sauce at defensive back and put JJ at receiver. I just want to see him play.
Whichever happens, as long as JJ can find a way, even in triple coverage perhaps.
Yeah.
We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Don and Gabe, yeah, it all comes back to JJ against Sauce. That's what everyone's talking about. Meanwhile, there's also another big story today. Ahmad Hicks will be back with the homecoming story of Jermaine Johnson back home at U.S. Bank Stadium. Stay with us.
Winter is here, and we're here for you. On air.
And on Fox9.com.
On the Fox 9 weather app.
And on the Fox 9 YouTube channel.
Winter's here, and we're everywhere for you.
Hi, I'm Amy Hockard. I have just 10 seconds to tell you about a real time saver. It's Fox 9's 10 at 10. We bring you the day's top 10 stories in the first 10 minutes.
More is better, and Fox 9 now has more. More streaming, more local stories, more shows, and, well, more. Go ahead, try it out, and discover more on the Fox 9 News app and at fox9.com. Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store simply by scanning this QR code, and you can watch our shows anywhere, anytime.
Glad you're starting your work week with us here on the Fox 9 Morning News. Good to see you. I'm Tom Butler.
And I'm Alex Kendall. Hope your morning is good.
Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store or by scanning this QR code. We'll give you some time to scan and check it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Everything's better with an audience.
Mr. Big, it's bath time. Oh, Biggie, good boy. And Han says, I can't eat it, it's chewy.
Everything is better with an audience. Watch The Jason Show, weekdays at 10 on Fox 9.
Want better brain health? Try these foods. Researchers say the best brain foods include green leafy veggies, fatty fish thanks to their omega-3 fatty acids, berries packed with flavonoids, tea and coffee, and even walnuts, consumption of which has been shown to lead to higher memory on test scores. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
Hey, it's Dr. Mike. The United States Preventive Service Task Force has come out with new guidelines that recommend your primary care provider screen you for anxiety. Now listen, folks, if you have anxiety, you can't sleep, you're drinking too much, you need to get help, and there is help available. I'm Dr. Mike Sirigliano with the Fox Medical Team.
This is our home,
He has collaboration, communication, culture.
our turf. This is our family, our tradition.
This is how we do it every game day.
Whether suspense or celebration, this is what ties us together. Because this is our team, and this is our home. Fox 9 is your official home of the Minnesota Vikings.
Everyone loves a nice holiday card. Send us one of yours before Christmas Eve, and we'll send you one of ours in return. Happy holidays from Fox 9.
I'm Heather Sullivan with Sullivan Smart Sense. Is all this inflation keeping you from enjoying eating out? You could save up to 35% on food and up to 20% on drinks.
This is Vikings Game Day Live, presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
And welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live. Getting ready for the noon kickoff. The Vikings and the New York Jets. We have to repeat it again. The Vikings with an opportunity today to win the NFC North with a win here, and the Lions lost to Jacksonville in Detroit. Mark Rosen along with Ron Johnson and Pete Bursich. We're going to go back down to the field to Ahmad Hicks for the homecoming story for number 52 of the New York Jets. Ahmad, take it away.
Yeah, Ron, I know many kids who grow up playing football have dreams and aspirations of making it to the NFL. I know I sure did, but unlike Ron Johnson, I was nowhere near as talented, so that's why I have a microphone in my hand and I'm not out there. Now, for those guys that are talented enough, their traditional route to the NFL is to go to a 4-year university, put in their 3 or 4 years, and then move on to the next level. But for Jermaine Johnson, his path to the NFL was anything but traditional, but his journey was the reward.
Jermaine's story is special.
And not because of his raw athleticism.
Because he went on from being a non-qualifier.
Eden Prairie head coach Mike Grant saw a star in Jermaine Johnson on the field. But he knew off the field he was a work in progress.
Wasn't always involved completely in our total program, but he was a great kid.
Due to grades, Johnson was unable to attend a Power 5 school, but unlike most kids, Coach Grant says Johnson didn't complain about what happened.
Yeah, Jermaine was the opposite.
He embraced the grind at Independence Community College, where Grant says everything clicked.
I don't care what business you're in, you got to do the work, and he really made a decision there when he got to that junior college. I'm going to do the work and get to be the best that I can be.
Johnson's grades improved, and so did his opportunities. He wound up at Georgia, where he got to compete against NFL-caliber talent every day at practice.
Van Dyke going to try and take off, and brought down at the 16-yard line, the ubiquitous Jermaine Johnson.
And before long, he was at Florida State, his third school in 4 years. Soon after that, this trouble kid from Eden Prairie became an inspiration.
With the 26th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Jermaine Johnson.
Showing others it's not always how you start, but how determined you are to finish.
I just remember thinking, this is a different path than a kid who goes to Minnesota or wherever, on a full ride, but the end can be the same. And so I think he saw that and said, I'm going to go a different path than some kids, but here I am.
I asked Coach Grant how often do they use Jermaine Johnson's story as motivation for the younger generation. He said that same day that we recorded the interview, he had to speak with an 8th grader who had some common characteristics of Johnson, and he said he told him if Jermaine can turn things around, so can you. So he'll be using that story for years to come. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Mark Rosen along with Ben Lieber and Ron Johnson. Good homecoming story, that's for sure. We're going to talk about the future of the NFC North. It's really weird kind of conversation, but what in the world, Ben, is going to happen with the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers? What's going to happen after this year if you're going to crystal ball it a little bit here with Green Bay?
I've got this kind of bold prediction that this is not so bold that he's not going to be with the Green Bay Packers next year, but my bold prediction is that he's going to be lured back out west. He'll join the San Francisco 49ers.
Really?
They're looking for a quarterback. They are built right now to win a championship with all the talent they have on offense. Their defense is rock solid. They just need a much more competent quarterback that can give them the confidence that they're going to win these games. So I think somehow, some way, he'll get up west.
Yeah, maybe we'll see Jordan Love before the season is over. The Lions trending up, trending down. What do you think, Ron?
Yeah, I think the Lions are trending up. I like what Dan Campbell's been doing, and I think that's the biggest key is the players believe they can win some of these games they've been in. He just has to win a couple more, and that's the problem is some of the games they lost, they could have won. But Dan Campbell has built something, so I think they're going to give him another year or two. If he can't figure it out, then they'll probably get rid of him.
Can the Bears build around Justin Fields, Ben?
I actually think they can. I mean, the way that he's been using his legs a little bit more and the way that he's shown much more competency throwing the football down the field, I think that Fields is the guy. I think sometimes his attitude needs to get a little bit better and like take control and ownership of the fact that he is the true leader of this team. And look, I think that he's got all the athleticism in the world. They need to obviously rebuild that defense, but I think he is the guy that they need to build around.
The one thing I'll say is this is a copycat league. If I was the Bears offensive coordinator, I'm going to watch the Eagles offense because what Jalen Hurts does, Justin Fields can do. They can win some games there.
Jalen Hurts has also taken a lot of hits, and that's the thing we're talking about later today. I mean, can he withstand those as we hit the rest of December and January? Because the man is as strong as he is getting hit a lot.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that as well. We got Sink or Sail coming up, our favorite segment of the week. We'll talk about, will the Vikings clinch the NFC North today? Will Jefferson break 100 yet? Well, let's just save it for it. We'll be right back with more on Vikings Game Day Live.
Winter is here, and we're here for you. On air.
And on Fox9.com.
On the Fox 9 weather app.
And on the Fox 9 YouTube channel.
Winter's here, and we're everywhere for you.
Hi, I'm Amy Hockert. I have just 10 seconds to tell you about a real time saver. It's Fox 9's 10 at 10. We bring you the day's top 10 stories in the first 10 minutes.
More is better, and Fox 9 now has more. More streaming, more local stories, more shows, and, well, more. Go ahead, try it out, and discover more on the Fox 9 News app and at fox9.com. Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store simply by scanning this QR code, and you can watch our shows anywhere, anytime.
Glad you're starting your work week with us here on the Fox 9 Morning News. Good to see you. I'm Tom Butler.
And I'm Alex Kendall. Hope your morning is good.
Download the Fox 9 News app in your app store or by scanning this QR code. We'll give you some time to scan and check it out.
Thank you. Thank you. Everything's better with an audience.
Mr. Big, it's bath time. Oh, Biggie, good boy. And Han says, I can't eat it. It's chewy.
Everything is better with an audience. Watch The Jason Show, weekdays at 10 on Fox 9.
Want better brain health? Try these foods. Researchers say the best brain foods include green leafy veggies, fatty fish thanks to their omega-3 fatty acids, berries packed with flavors, tea and coffee, and even walnuts, consumption of which has been shown to lead to higher memory on test scores. I'm Steve Noviello. That's my 2 cents. Spend it wisely.
Hey, it's Dr. Mike. The United States Preventive Service Task Force has come out with new guidelines that recommend your primary care provider screen you for anxiety. Now listen, folks, if you have anxiety, you can't sleep, you're drinking too much, you need to get help, and there is help available. I'm Dr. Mike Sirigliano with the Fox Medical Team.
This is our home.
He has collaboration, communication, culture.
Our turf. This is our family. Our tradition.
This is how we do it every game day.
Whether suspense or celebration, this is what ties us together. Because this is our team. And this is our home. Fox 9 is your official home of the Minnesota Vikings.
Everyone loves a nice holiday card. Send us one of yours before Christmas Eve, and we'll send you one of ours in return. Happy holidays from Fox 9.
I'm Heather Sullivan with Sullivan Smart Sense. Is all this inflation keeping you from enjoying eating out? You could save up to 35% on food and up to 20% on drinks.
Welcome back to Vikings Game Day Live, presented by Luther Auto and Mystic Lake.
The young kid in the stands who was shirtless, that was just tremendous. guys in the huddle are just loving it. They just were laughing so hard. So we got to come up with a name for him. Maybe get him some tickets and bring him back. Hey, Lincoln, can you hear me?
Yes.
We got to talk about last Thursday night. You gave us a great moment there, so we wanted to make sure you could come back. So on Sunday, we're going to have tickets for you to the game again. And I understand it's your birthday. Is that true?
Yeah.
It's not only his birthday, it's his 8th birthday. Yeah, Kirk wears number 8, I think.
It's pretty fitting, right?
What a great story. The kid's going to be back shirtless, wearing the chains in the stands today.
8 passing touchdowns today.
I love the
between
fact
the
that you guys are talking about, like, they're laughing in the huddle. They're like in the middle of the game. They're looking up at the scoreboard, looking at this kid. They're all cracking up about it.
Yeah, this kid needs to get the grills put in as well.
Oh, my goodness.
Totally dripped out.
Well, it's time for Sink or Sail, and we have folks on the field as well. We got Don and Ahmad. Vikings clinched the NFC North today. I'm relying on Trevor Lawrence to doing the Lions say, so I'm going to say I'm going to sail it.
I'm going to sail it as well. Ron, you're saying sink?
I'm sinking it. I'm also letting the people know at home. I'm watching Greg Joseph during warm-ups, and he's made the last 3 kicks. So hopefully that's a good thing. But I'm going to sink that. I think the Vikings win. I think the Lions win. So then the Vikings have to beat them next week.
Okay, all right.
So
guys, sail. Okay.
You know, I'm sailing it, and please don't mind our signs. This is kind of our. If you see any fans walking around with the sink or sail sign, you know what happened. But I'm sailing it. I'm being positive.
I'm going sail today too. I think the Lions lose, and I think the Vikings take care of business.
All right, we're going to zip through the next ones. I mean, I think we all kind of agree. The secondary bounces back a little. It's kind of subjective. Obviously, they got some bodies back today, so we got to sail that. But I hope it's going to be sail. But then again, Mike White might have something to say about that.
Well, bounce back in what way?
That's subjective.
It's nice to have a Caleb Evans back. I'm going to sink that because I think we're gonna be better against the run, but I still need to see a lot more against the pass.
All right.
I'm going to sail it. I think today might be a day that can confuse Mike White. And like Ben said, he gets the ball in his hands quick. Hopefully the DBs understand that and trigger faster.
Guys?
I'm sailing it. I think
sail.
Vikings defensive front gets after Mike White.
Well, okay, we'll start with you down there.
Will
Justin Jefferson have over 100 receiving yards today against Sauce Gardner and company?
I'm going to think that. I think Sauce Gardner, I think he holds him in check a little bit today.
Yeah, I was thinking, all right, don't hold me to this, but I'm like one of the waffle, but I want to sink it, but it's going to be like 90-something.
You got to pick one.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah,
look, I'm going to sail it because like everybody's talking about this matchup. Sauce Gardner doesn't match up with people. He just plays the left side. So he plays the left side of their defense. We'll find a way to get Justin going.
I'm going to sail it too.
Will the Jets make the playoffs this year?
So,
boy, that's a tough one.
That's a really tough division. I'm going to sink it.
I am too. I think it's still going to be really tough for them. I think they're still have a little inexperience.
They're on the bubble. The Los Angeles Chargers are right behind them. I'm going to sail it.
Yeah,
I'm going to sail it.
Hey, we've talked about, guys, looking at you real quick. We're going to wrap things up here. There you go. A reminder that later on this afternoon, after the Vikings game right here on Fox 9, great game. The 49ers and the Dolphins right here on Fox 9. Guys, thanks much. Ben Lieber, Ron Johnson.
Thank you, Mark Rosen.
And the rest of the crew here on Fox 9. Enjoy the afternoon, everyone.
I'm on Kicker Watch.
Kicker Watch.
Winter is here, and we're here for you. On air.
And on Fox9.com.
On the Fox 9 weather app.
And on the Fox 9 YouTube channel.
Winter's here, and we're everywhere for you.
Hi, I'm Amy Hockert. I have just 10 seconds to tell you about a real time saver. It's Fox 9's 10 at 10. We bring you the day's